Today we're diving into the nemesis, the antagonist of your wealth generation, procrastination. If you can reign victor over this evil, you'll be able to make promises and keep them, project and forecast into the future with confidence, and most importantly, achieve financial independence on a rapid time horizon. Is procrastination a strength? What causes this crippling death? Can you even overcome procrastination, even as a creative? Is procrastination connected to the just-in-time philosophy? I'm Will Mosley, and I've procrastinated all of my life. Though no one in my orbit might call me a slacker, most might call me a workaholic. Someone who goes above and beyond, keeping good, warm energy about everything that I do. If you ask my wife, who's one of the most consistent human beings that I know, she'll tell you a different story. For every creative person, there's a basement full of unrealized promises. This reminds me of the movie Inside Out. All of the memories deep down in the depths of Riley's mind. Instead of memories, these would be spoken promises or thoughts. Hundreds of thousands of unrealized to-dos left unchecked. For the most important things, I've retained laser focus, seeming to pull the rabbit out of the hat in the nick of time almost every time. I was exceptional about this in my career. But have I been doing it wrong the whole time? Can you be a productive procrastinator? Are you ruining your relationships by being late all of the time? How do you stop overpromising, people-pleasing, and delaying joy for yourself? I'll break down procrastination into 5 parts. Part 1, people-pleasing. Part 2, making promises. Part 3, clearing obligations. Part 4, building habits. And Part 5, Alex Hormozi's more, better, new framework. This has always blown my mind a little bit. 99% of you that watch this show regularly aren't yet subscribed. Our goal is 50%. Can I ask you a favor before we start? If you like what we're doing here at the show and love the content we're making and would love to support us, the free, simple way you can do that is by hitting the subscribe button now. My commitment to you is that I'll work my hardest to make this show the best it can be every single week. I'll dive deeper into the self-development questions you want to hear most about. And most importantly, I'll continue to bring the energy to you. Do we have a deal? Part 1, people-pleasing. I probably can make an entire video about people-pleasing, an entire series about this, an entire book probably about people-pleasing. I've struggled with this my entire life, okay? It wasn't until maybe 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago that I was able to kind of turn the corner, turn the chapter on this. And even to this day, there are elements of people-pleasing in my personality. But when it comes to procrastination, a lot of times people-pleasing can be linked to procrastination in a way that because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, because you want to be the person that can do it all, because you want to make a good impression, all these different things, you say, yes, sign me up, when you really should say, no, not for me. And I think that can literally contribute almost 90% to procrastination, because you sign up for something that either it sounds good in the moment, or is out of your wheelhouse, or not even something that you want to do, because you're so scared, terrified, so emotionally sensitive to the other person, you say yes anyways. And then later, as you're thinking to yourself, like, why did I say that? Why did I agree to help them move out of this house? Why? Like, there's so many different things. You just, why? And so with that, you then start to push off that yes that you said because it's painful and you don't actually really want to do it. And then you feel guilt and you'll feel terrible that you're not doing anything with it, because of course you're a people pleaser. And it all together is bad feels. And so people pleasing has a lot to do with why we procrastinate. Like let's kind of go a little bit deeper into people pleasing. Like why, like what makes a people pleaser a people pleaser? I think at its core, a lot of times people pleasing have a hard time, feeling accepted or feeling loved. Okay. And I'm going to kind of take this back a little bit to childhood of how, like, growing up, like, I just never felt accepted. I'd always felt like the nerd, the outcast, all that stuff. And so when I finally stumbled upon one way to get surface level acceptance, I leaned heavily into that. And by surface level acceptance, like, kind of, you're walking and you're in high school, and instead of people just looking through you, they finally maybe see you a little bit, or maybe you see them, you say something kind to them, like, hey, wow, your outfit looks great. And instead of them saying, get lost, peace out, they respond and say, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Picked it out. That little piece then validates you, giving the compliment. Now, that compliment could have absolutely been genuine, and most times it is. You're like, hey, look, you look great. But once you get that first hit of dopamine of, oh, I can say something kind, and then that can make someone's day, that can make them feel better, that can make me be seen, then, at least for me, it became part of my personality, where I started, because I've always been a positive person in general. So, like, I started realizing that it wasn't so scary to give a compliment. Okay, I used to be very terrified, especially like girls, all that type of. I just talk, to say anything, whatever. But once I poked a hole through the universe and like saw that I can say, yo, like, look great today, or you look strong today, or you look, oh, you look kind of sad today. Are you okay? Once I realized that I can see something about someone, and I think I have a general knack for this, just recognize something about someone, and that can impact and make them feel better. I think that was the gateway drug to people pleasing. Okay, and I'm not saying that giving genuine compliments is a bad thing. I think it's an amazing thing. I think more people should do this more often. But I will say that once you get that hit, that rush of someone recognizing you, or you recognizing someone else and someone feeling good about it, I think that's a thing, And I think a lot of people pleasers unconsciously maybe love that drug. They love acknowledgement and acceptance. And I love appreciation. Okay, give me, nothing short of giving me appreciation will make me go the extra mile for you. And I think that let's bring this back to procrastination and back to people pleasing. Like, when you agree to do something for someone, you say, yeah, I got you. Yeah, I can get that. I can do that. I can get that deadline. I can do that. I can make that newsletter for you, by end of day today or whatever. You in that moment, I think you feel like you can, okay? You feel like, oh man, I want to make their day. I know they really need this done. Like, I want to do this for them. And they're like, whoa, thank you so much. But what I think a lot of people pleasing or people pleasers forget is that a lot of times they make a lot more promises than what they can actually keep. Because you want to say yes. You're like, yeah, of course, yeah, I got you. No worries. Me and you, we're bros. Let's do this. Let's knock it out. And we'll say yes to everyone, but say no to ourselves, okay? And that can then start to create this resentment or distaste in our head after the fact of us saying yes to somebody. Because we say yes, dopamine hit feels good. And then in our head, we're like, fuck, that means I'm going to have to stay up till 1 a.m. tonight to do all of this work that I said yes to. Like, why did I do that? So either you stay up till 1 doing all the hard work, or you maybe start to justify yourself out of some of this stuff. You're like, well, it's not that important. I can push it off till tomorrow. That wouldn't be that bad. I know I said that I'd get it done at this point, but if I do this and this and this, then tomorrow I'll have the time to do these things too, and then it'll be okay. But the problem with people pleasers is we keep on saying yes and yes and yes. The next day, we say yes to 5 or 6 more things. And we continue to do this vicious cycle to the point that we're so overwhelmed with the yeses that we've said that we then, we procrastinate. Either we're procrastinating on majority of the things, or we're incapable, we're so overwhelmed that we don't even remember all the commitments that we made, right? That's worse. You said yes to so many things, but now you don't even remember all the yeses that you've said. And so now you're just dropping the ball, which does look like procrastination, but it's just you've completely forgot. And guess what? Then your wife comes up to you and says, hey, Will, remember you were supposed to hang up Christmas lights for me? And you're like, oh yeah. You completely forgot that you said it because there's so many other things that are there. And I think that has a lot to do with procrastination. You gotta say, with people pleasing, if I kind of give some actionable, coming back on the other side of this, maybe some actions to not specifically being a people pleaser, or maybe taking control of people pleasing, is that you have to start saying yes to yourself, okay? First and foremost, yes to you. Because you don't need their acknowledgement and their appreciation and their accolades and their validation to know that you are dope and you are a vibe and you are just amazing, okay? If you know that you're okay, you already get that dopamine hit every day by looking in the mirror and be like, you know what? Will, you're a vibe. You're dope. It's good to hear other people say, yo, Will, you're cool, you're a vibe. Like, it's cool to hear that, but that's secondary. If you can start to be that person giving yourself the love, then that, I think, will start to take down a bit of the people pleasing, because you'll start to gain confidence in yourself, and therefore you don't need that drug from anyone else. The drug, you got that drug right here, bro. Me and my Dunkin' Donuts espresso shots and like good vibes that I have with myself, like, bro, we're here. And so that would be the first thing I'd say. If you're people pleasing, find self-love for you, okay? And I'm sure that we'll dive a little bit deeper into this. Actually, the next video that we're making is about how to gain confidence, okay? I can't wait to deep dive into this self-development topic, but that's the next one. So we'll subscribe if you aren't already for when that comes out. But another part of people pleasing that, as it comes to procrastination, is if you, I think, again, like I said, the validation, the confidence in yourself is super key. But then once you have that confidence in self, there are a lot of things that you don't give yourself and do for yourself, okay? There are many things, okay? I'm gonna tell you my day today. I had a great day with my wife. Bro, today has been the best day. And this is part of me being able to control and plan my entire schedule. And this did not come easy to me before, because I always felt like I had obligations to other people. And with obligations does also come procrastination and deadlines and stuff like that. When you clear your calendar of obligations to everyone else, the majority of all that, procrastination a lot of times just drops off the cliff. Now you can procrastinate with yourself, but you're not procrastinating with others. And that's different, and that's another thing to kind of talk about. But it feels way worse procrastinating with yourself than with deadlines that you've promised, because now you're breaking promises to other people. It can also suck breaking promises to yourself. Well, we can do something about that too. But my day today, so cool. I woke up 5 a.m. And again, I make my own calendar. I woke up 5 a.m. and I went over to my local YMCA. I arrived there at like 5:30, 5:45, something like that. And this place is packed. 100 people just chilling. All these people made a decision today to wake up at 5:30 and be here. You know how crazy that is? That's what I'd be like seeing. I'm like, dang, these people are, they're here for a reason. You got to make a decision to go to the gym at 5:45 a.m. Okay, so I go there. I do my workout. It's shoulders and chest today. Knocked that out. My legs are still sore from yesterday. I then go over to the Starbucks parking lot, and I do the intro to this video. So work on my YouTube channel, and then after that, I promise this comes back to people pleasing and validate and all that stuff. And then I went and got the wifey some flowers, got out our guilt-free spending money for the day, went back home for the kids to go to school, okay? And like from there, we ended up like going and dropping the kids off at school, and then we went to another Y. It's a different Y, and me and the wife, we went swimming while the youngers went to the daycare. Went swimming today. Just so much fun. And then took the wifey back home and the kid, the littles back home. Then I started my work day. And the thing with that, right, is when you are people pleasing, you can't do all those things. You can't just say, you know what, I'm going to make a schedule and do all the fun things that I love, all the things that I deserve, all the things that I robbed myself of a kid. Because all those other time slots are filled up with obligations for someone else, okay? And that's the point. Instead of allowing other people to rob your time, steal your time, and they may have not said they're doing this, but you're allowing your time to be used by others, your most valuable asset. You wouldn't let someone come over and be like, let me take $100 out of your wallet. You wouldn't let them do that, but they do that every single day. Think about how much your time is worth hourly and how much time you just give to other people. Now, I'm not saying don't give your time to the people that matter, but if they don't matter, if it's, they're kind of low on the list, stop doing that. Take care of yourself, stop people pleasing other people, and start taking care of yourself. So one, we have the confidence for ourselves, we love ourselves, and then we also structure our calendar, our schedule around things that matter most for us. Now, you got to do hard work in general in this life, so of course, pencil that in. Hard work every day, but all the other things, like take care of yourself. And I bet you'll find that there's not that much time left for anything else. And so if you decide to say yes to anything, you know that you're robbing yourself of that time at the YMCA with your wife, that time with the kids for tablet time. And so you're much less, you have a lot more of like, ooh, whoa, if I say yes to this, it means that I can't spend time with my kids? Oh, no. Very easy no. Because I'd rather, say no to you and yes to my kids. Or I'd rather say no to you and yes to myself, okay? And I think that's where you start to get over that people pleasing. It's not that you don't want to do things for other people. You can absolutely work hard for other people. But you also have to prioritize your time first. And if you have some time left over, a little bit of time, that's great. Cool. And then guess what? The massive amount of deadlines, the massive amount of things to-dos, they disappear because they don't exist anymore on your calendar. And so the few things that you have, you don't have to procrastinate. You can get them done. Too easy. One big thing today or two big things today, let's knock it out. Done. All right, part 2, making promises. Okay, I'm going to lead with more making promises to yourself than making promises to other people, because I think in the last section we talked a lot about other people, and I think this would be a good lead into making promises to yourself and sticking to those promises. Not procrastinating with those promises, because all this will apply to other people. But let's focus on self. So, actionable advice on making promises to yourself. I think really like the simplest way that you can stop procrastinating when it comes to life in general is to let's actually take a step back. One, understanding what you need to do to make money, okay? Understanding what's next. And then let's just say put bucket, 3, like family, and then bucket 4, like yourself or whatever. Let's kind of divide this kind of into about 4 parts. Because I personally, if you look at my calendar, I have work, I have deep work, I have family, and then I have personal. Okay, and like if your friends or your family, let's just say that, or your friends are really close, let's just consider that the whole family bucket. Okay, because that's really what it comes down to. You got taking care of yourself, you got taking care of your family, you've got the work that you're doing, and then the deep work may be your hobby, or it may be the next thing that you're doing as well. And so what I like to do is I like to look at, okay, how many hours can I work per day, or do I want to work per day? Okay, because if you look at things like Ramit Sethi and I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and you look at Alex Remote, like you look at these things, like really you kind of decide how much work you do or don't do. You got a typical 8-hour work day, and so I'll assume that most of you are maybe doing that. And then you also probably have like a side hustle that you're either doing, whether that's like you're doing something like a Uber, or you have something that you're trying to do that's like a passion, or you're going to school, or whatever the thing is. And so with that being said, you only have 24 hours in a day. And so if you cut out the amount of time that you sleep, and you could say 8, I don't sleep 8 hours, but if you cut out 8, that means that you have 16 hours left to do what you do. And I'm going to use my own schedule, so it's not exactly, I sleep for about 5 hours. Yes, I know that 5 hours doesn't seem healthy. This is just my own schedule. So with that means I have 19 hours of other things that I can do with my time. Now, for instance, what I do right now is I do like the delivery track or whatever with like Uber/Walmart, okay? And that makes pretty good money. You know, I think a lot of times and I've talked about this before about learning how to hunt and being in the zoo, but like, let's just assume that those 8 hours, what I'm talking about, is like your day job, and you have that job. The job that you have, it may not be the job that you specifically want. It may be. That's awesome if it is. Congratulations. But even if it's not the job that you're like, this is the job that is the job. The job that you probably have is probably low risk, moderate reward, okay? And that is a good place to be in. If you're getting paid regularly and the job is okay, yeah, I put that there. Keep that. Don't throw that away. And this is going to come back to like keeping promises to yourself here in just a second. Now, you have the time after that. Let's just say that's 8 of your hours, or I'm going to say 8 of my hours because that's really what it is, 8 of my hours. So now we're down to 11 hours. Now, I have something that, how I define what's next for myself is what will add the next 0 onto my bank account, or onto my, however much I'm making, right? So for instance, if you're making, let's just say you're making $75,000 from your current job, instead of you being like, I want to get a job that's $150,000, instead you think, how can I get a job, or how can I, for the year, how can I make $750,000? Okay, that's adding another 0, which it's 10x the amount of work. It is, or 10x the amount of return. Okay, it's not double, it is 10x. And for me, I find that kind of cool because it's like that takes out a lot of, and this comes back, I promise it's going to come back to keeping promises to yourself. This comes back to like, if I'm going to try to make it to 750,000 per year, or if I'm making 100,000, the next add 0 would be 1 million per year. It's going to take a lot of work, okay? There's just a lot of work between that and that goal. And so when you realize that whatever the thing that you pick, you need to pick and stick. And not only do you need to pick and stick, you need to pick, stick, and then you need to keep going, throwing lots of hard work at it for an extended period of time. And once you have that breakthrough, that realization, it's not that hard to make promises to yourself and keep them, because a lot of times I think the promises that we make to ourselves that we break, that comes down to procrastination, is we just kind of have pipe dreams like, I could do that, or I could do this, or I could do that. And you don't take it serious. You just kind of like, I could do that. You try it for a couple of weeks, or you try it for a day. You're like, you don't take it serious. And if you don't take yourself serious, then you're going to break promises to yourself. And of course, you're going to procrastinate on what's important because you're like, So I think with procrastination, as this comes up, with making promises to yourself, you got to figure out what's the thing that's going to get you to the next 0 or the next stage of your life. And that is a crippling thought, okay? That's a hard one to come and figure out. But I do have a system, very simple system, to help you through this as well. So remember our job that was 8 hours, and let's just say you dedicate 4 hours to whatever is next, but you don't know what that next is right now. I'm not adding up 12 fingers, okay? How do you know which one to stick to, and then how long do I commit to that before I jump to the next one, okay? I had this question for myself a week ago. I pretty much went to AI and I said, hey AI, here are the things that I want to do that, that I'm thinking about doing, because I have a lot of skills, and I also have a lot of interest. And I pretty much said, hey, which of these would help me get to this goal of $1 million, okay, per year? Within the time horizon I'm talking about. And so I think I threw it, real estate agent. I threw it laying floors, because I've kind of started getting into this idea, oh, I can lay floors. I threw it, web development, because I know web development. Threw it graphic design or marketing, whatever. I threw it YouTube. I've been, on off and on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure I threw it some other stuff, okay? So these are all things that I could do in that 4-hour block, but I can't do them all. And so if you look at investing, if you think about investing, like if you look at your portfolio, you want your portfolio to be, you want a diversified portfolio. And so if you are investing, your Roth IRA or your 401k or even the S&P 500, that would probably be considered more like a low risk, moderate return, right? Like you just put money in and like it's gonna grow by 8 to 10%, every year, compounding on itself. And that's a safe bet. You stay at your job and you don't fuck it up, like best believe they're just gonna keep on paying you. And they may give you a little raise next year, right? Like you may, cool, keep that. Don't jump off a cliff and do something crazy. Now, the other 30%, so 70% is your job, if we think about that. The other 30% is high risk, high reward, okay? This is where you're willing to allow your money to go to zero, and by money, I mean time. Like you invest, let's say you invest 6 months, and maybe you get nothing from that 6 months. It's okay. You still have your 70% here that is keeping you okay? But it very well is possible that this 30% that you're investing in high risk, because high risk is like picking a career path or picking something you know nothing about it or trying to get to a crazy ass number. That's high risk. It's high risk. It's okay. We can have some of that. As creatives, we can have a little bit of that. A lot of us are like, just stay in the box, don't do anything. But 30%, I'm willing to place a bet, okay? Now, you can have two things that you want to do. Let's just say that I wanted to do, because originally I was going to do YouTube and also my agency business, okay? So that was like 2 hours and 2 hours. And then pretty much it said, hey, give it about 6 months, to see if you got to, how it's going. And you have milestones that you can set for yourself. Let's come back to promises and procrastination. Because I think the thing with procrastination is a lot of times either you don't want to do it or it feels so overwhelming. And this is the overwhelming part, because analysis paralysis. Like those are things that can make you procrastinate. And that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to dive a little bit deeper into underneath the procrastination part. And so I was doing that, and then I started seeing pretty good returns, pretty great returns with YouTube, okay? And I've tried YouTube before plenty of times, but I never stuck. I would do it for a few days, a week, haphazardly, and I'd just stop. Regardless of if I saw a good return or not. I'd get the first video that underperformed and I'd like, oh my God. And that's the stock market. If you decide to stop investing or stop committing at the first downtick, bro, that's not it. This is high risk, high reward. We are willing to let it go to zero as long as I know I put in the time. I made the promise to myself and didn't procrastinate, didn't slack, put in the work. 6 months goes by. Let's say I wanted my YouTube channel to grow and it's like flatline, nothing. That's okay. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn about myself, that there are bets that you will place that will be losses. And it's okay to make more. It's okay to make bet after bet after bet, as long as it's within that 30% allocation. And it could even be a 60-40%, or it could even be an 80-20 if you want to be kind of conservative. But you're betting with your time. And so I'm willing to do that. And so once you know that, if you promise yourself and you have benchmarks, you're like, hey, look, I'm going to commit to this for 6 months, okay? That's really making the promise. I'm going to promise 6 months on this. Of course, I can monitor it and see how it goes, but I'm going to give it the energy. I'm going to continue every day to invest the same 4 hours or whatever the time is every day. Guess what? Like, procrastination goes out the window. Or you have a north compass when procrastination comes up. You're like, man, fuck. You're like, man, I really don't feel like doing that script today. But you're like, yo, this is an investment. This is an investment, high risk, high reward. So are you going to not invest your time? And you have this talk with yourself. At least I have this talk with myself, okay? And that feels good. I really like that. And I think that has helped me overcome so much procrastination, because I thought that I was doing hard work, and I don't think I was actually doing hard work at all. I would procrastinate. Very good at doing what I do, the skill that I do pretty well. So I do the amount of time that I needed to just do good enough, and that would be it. And I think there's so much more to our potential if we allocate our risk properly. Part 3, clearing obligations. All of this is kind of folding on top of itself. But clearing obligations really has a lot to do, like we talked about in the previous chapter, about only doing a few things, okay? Like, you have your work, and your work pays your bills, okay? You have what's next, and we talked about that previously. That's your high risk, high reward that will get you to the next level. Then you have your family, bro. Like the family, like, if not for anything, what you're working for, making these bets for, is to be able to spend and hang and love and take time with your family, the people that matter the most. And then you have yourself, okay? Very important. Yourself, being kind to yourself, doing the good things to yourself. Like, if not anything else, like, that is so important, okay? And so obligations that you have, I would argue that those are the only 4 that you have. So many of us have all these other obligations that we'd say. And of course you can have obligations within those buckets, but you have the work that you're doing right now, the low risk, moderate return work. You have the high risk, high reward work. You have your family / friends, if you want to throw that in there. And then you have yourself and taking care of yourself. And if you get down to that, and this comes down to procrastination, right? If you get rid of all the other obligations that you've made that don't fit within those 4, those big buckets, there's not going to be that much procrastination. Like, if you only have a certain amount of time to hang with the fam every day, you're going to make the most of that time. And you're going to be thoughtful about it and be focused within it. You know, block your time. But the complete way to destroy family time and destroy, personal time and all this other stuff is to allow other people to take your time, to make promises on your time. Your whole life is your time. Your time is your money. Like, on some real shit, your money, okay? So do not allow, if you would not let someone mess with your money, don't let them mess with your time. And going back to, like, the people pleasing, you can be kind to people. I'm kind to people all day long, okay? But I also have hard blocks of what I do. And anyone that's in my life, they kind of understand that, they respect that. I think maybe the hardest conversation that you probably will have is maybe with your SO. Like, it's hard to kind of be like, hey, these are the things that are important to me, and this is what I'm thinking, and all these things. And you have to kind of find that balance, of course, because that's family. Wife and kids, like, we got doctor's appointments, and they also have their own obligations. And you're trying to do your best to support them. And so it's a happy ecosystem. But, like, clearing obligations, if it doesn't contribute to those 4, I'd say literally wipe it all off the table. Now, obligations to yourself. Let's go on the opposite side of this. I think a lot of people, they don't prioritize themselves. They don't make a point to take care of themselves, okay? And what I mean by that is there's so many ways that you can take care of yourself. Knowledge, okay? Learning and reading books, the things that you love, whether it's that spicy romantic fantasy book or it's, that deep work book about how you can, be a better parent. I don't know. Educating and learning the things that you want to learn. I personally have a thing. I only have a few things that I do that I just are the things that I do. But one of the ways that self-care to me is like I go to the movies whenever I either am feeling down or there's a new movie, like a big one that I'm like, oh man, like I have a movie pass. And I go there, and I used to have such guilt about going to the movie theater, like without the wife or, all these different things. But like the truth is that I want the same thing for my partner. I want my partner, and I want Laura, like if she needs to have a girls' night, if she wants to go out and do something, like I want you to be able to say, I'm going to go do that. And there shouldn't be like any fuss about it, any whatever. Like she has her own list of obligations, and I have my own list of obligations. They're not that crazy. Like I said, it's 4 things. Like if she needs to go out and have a moment and have some time to self, I want that. Like I'm like, moreover, I'm like, hey, like take care of yourself. And when it comes to procrastination, we procrastinate so much on taking care of ourselves. Whether it's like working out and feeling better and doing that stuff, or it's like doing the fun things that we wanted to do as a kid. We stop doing those things because we have to work. If anything, Ramit Sethi of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, bro, like he's really taught me how to spend money, okay? I've always like been frugal and not want to spend anything and like save and all this stuff. And like I've never quite enjoyed spending money. And I'm finally in a chapter of my life where I enjoy actually spending money on myself and on the family and all that stuff. And that's great. You have an obligation to yourself to take care of yourself. And stop procrastinating on that. Stop putting all those things off. I'll be happy later is bullshit. Be happy now. And tomorrow, like be happy now and happier tomorrow. You know what I mean? So 4 obligations: your work, what's next, your family, yourself. Comment in the comments below if you can think of anything else that might be just as high. It may be also there are maybe people that are like super religious or spiritual, spirituality and stuff like that. I could see that too. I may list that one still just with myself, like personal, like with that relationship with myself and with knowledge and with all the things. I'd still put that with like self-growth and stuff, but other, that may be there. And I think that's great, yeah, I don't think there's anything else I could say about obligations. The obligations that you think that you have, that you should have, they're probably stories that you've told yourself. They're probably messages from childhood, as in, you need to eat everything on your plate. There's kids starving in Africa. Like there's these sayings and stuff like that we tell ourselves that pass on, and they're just circling in our brain. You feel like, oh, I need to be, a good wife does X or whatever. There's all these different things that just circle. And so, think about each of these obligations that you think you have if you're struggling with that. And like, do they really fit in any of this stuff? And if not, like, are they really that important? And what would happen if I just didn't do any of those? Part 4. Building habits. I think I struggled with building habits until like, I don't know, my 30s or something. It's been hard to build habits because I think that it's two-part answer. One, it was hard to build habits because I didn't have the confidence in myself to think that I was smart enough to do whatever the things that I wanted to do. And then 2, when we talked about this in Strengths and Weaknesses. If you haven't seen that one, it's on the channel. Check it out. And 2, when I found something I was really good at, I didn't want to do anything else. I cleared everything. And of course, I became addicted to that, and that was it, and I did that. But all the other things in my life, I had probably poor habits with it, if I'm being honest. And I'm that type of person. Like, I'm an all or nothing type of person. I go 100% all the way in, or 0 at all. And I realize that there are shortcomings and also super strengths in that. Being autistic, ADHD, like being like just straight in. I know that there are people that are like, Will, how do you do this every day? How do you just... I don't know, I just do. But then there's also things that I procrastinate on and don't ever want to do. And so I don't do them, and, they come back to bite me in the ass. So, habit building. If I could recommend one book about habits, it'd probably be Atomic Habits by James Clear. Really great book. It breaks it down. I won't go through the phases, the 4 phases that that he talks about, because I'll probably butcher it. But a great book about habit building. For myself, how did I overcome building habits? I think that I was always looking for the hack, okay? I was always looking for the shortest way to be able to do something or get something done. And if you know anything about habit building or about doing something of something big, you'll probably know that going to the gym one day is kind of silly if you want to have a 6-pack. You know what I mean? And I think that I continued to trick myself and tell myself that I was smarter than I really am. We are smart, but I was always convinced that I'd figure out a way to program my way up the ladder, whether it's by, listening to the 4-hour work week, which he's like, do your most important thing. That's all that matters. And yes, you could work 4 hours a day or 4 hours a week. And yes, you can, actually. That's a great book, 4-Hour Work Week. The truth of the matter is that if you want to get good at anything in life, it is repeating it over and over and over and over times time. You know what I mean? And then also the dedication, actually the hard work, actually focused hard work, not just hard work for whatever sake. It's actually focused. And I'm going to talk about this in part 5, okay? As we go to the next part. But habits, you could do anything. You can literally learn almost anything. So the belief that you can't is probably the first thing that you got to kind of overcome, okay? So many of us believe that we can't, so we don't do. So we don't even start the habit. Oh, I could never work out. Oh, I could never swim. Oh, I could never compete in a triathlon. Oh, and not only that, we have people around us that also tell us that we can't. That one day you'll have that crazy idea. Oh man, I'm thinking about being a real estate agent. That'd be really cool. Well, real estate agent? You're not a real estate... What? And so not only do you have your self-limiting beliefs inside, you have other surrounding forces of people that are taking away from your vision, okay? And if anything, when building a habit, is you got to change your environment, bro. If you have negative people in your life, you got to get rid of them, okay? Now, look, listen, you got your family, there's certain people that just might be negative in general. You might have some people, but I'm just saying, the 5 people that surround you most, they are the sum of who you are, on some real shit. So if you Go, like for instance, me going to the gym and seeing all these people up at 5:30 in the morning jumping into the pool. What? Who does that? Those are the people I want to be around. They're gonna make me get up every day. Like, if they can get up, I can get up. Let's go. Let's get it. Come on, Will. Work out. Let's go. Instead, switch their environment around. Let's say that let's just say that you decide, I'm gonna work out in the house. Okay. You get up at 5:30, everyone's sleeping. No one's up. You look around like, what am I doing? What the fuck am I doing? Working out at 5:30 in the morning in the living room. Everyone's snoring. The bed looks warm. You feel awkward. You're worried. Like, if that environment is not conducive for you achieving what you're trying to achieve. So you got to switch the environment, right? Like, for instance, me recording videos right now is specific to an environmental change. I can't record videos in the house. I got 5 kids and a wife. It's just hard. It is hard for me to have that focus where I can be like, let me go deep on this and talk about this without knock, knock, knock. Hey, Daddy, I love my kids. I love spending family time, but like the environment's just not right for me to do these deep dives. And that is something that I had to realize and figure out, because I stopped recording for a long time because the environment just wasn't right. You know, I couldn't get it going. So when you're building habits, one of the easiest things you can do is switch the environment. Like COVID times, you know, a lot of people got depressed because, like, going to the office, though we complain about going to the office, I think going to the office is an amazing thing. You're around other people that are working hard, that also have a similar job as you, like they're within that same ecosystem. I think that's healthy. But then when you're just like working alone and like at home in the house, and then you have all these other distractions going on, it seems cool at first. It seems cool because you're like, I could be home and like working. But the truth of the matter is like, that's a good environment if you don't actually want to work, right? If you're like, let me see if I can do the bare minimum amount, get away with the bare minimum, send this in, and I'm just going to go play with the family all day. That can work. But if you want to get the most work done in that job, okay, being home versus being in office most times is probably not the right decision. I enjoyed going to the office and hanging out with my broskies. We'd code. It'd be fun. It's fun stuff to me. And take that and take the whole habit thing and put that to whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So whatever you're wanting to do, you got to change your environment if it's not working. You know, figure out what's going on there. And then the only other thing that I'd add to that, again, like James Clear, the Atomic Habits, great book, is like, you got to understand that you're probably not doing hard work. Most people aren't doing hard work. I wasn't doing hard work. I didn't really realize what hard work was. I thought I was, but I wasn't. And really having that honest conversation with yourself about like, I'm not actually a hard worker, or I slack off, or I worked for an hour and then I do nothing. You got to have that conversation with yourself, because the only person's time that you're robbing is yourself's. You know what I mean? Like, theoretically, let's just say that you blocked off 4 hours to write a book, and then you put in one really good hour of work, but you didn't put in the other 3 hours. Technically, there's opportunity costs there. You're robbing yourself, because technically you could use those other 3 hours to do a lot of other things, right? You could either, one, invest that into your current work that you're doing, go at your regular job. You can work 3 hours and get paid for that. You know, if you're making $30 an hour, that's $90. That's almost $100 that you just wasted, you burned. So you could do something else. You could be hanging out with the fam. 3 hours with the fam, that's real. You could be investing those 3 hours into yourself going to see a movie, but instead you tricked yourself. You took the 4 hour, you said, I'm going to have a 4-hour block and write this book. You worked for 1 hour, and then you slacked off for 3 hours. You wasted, you burned your 3 hours. And you do that every single day, that's 21 hours in a week. Burned, wasted. Could have done something more important with that time. You got to realize you're just not doing hard work. It's okay if you don't want to do the thing that you're doing. It's okay to say no to that. But when you decide to commit to something, let's say that's that high risk, high reward thing or whatever it is, do it at 100. Dedicate good energy to it. And also, if you're tired, take a nap. That's another thing. Take a nap. Anytime that you're tired, look, listen. Airplane pillow on deck, always. Put it on the neck, set a timer for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't matter. Take a nap. I don't know anyone that says that it doesn't bring them back. Now, there are people that can't take a nap and they're like, I'm gone. But maybe you still need that nap, you know what I mean? This kind of comes back to, with the obligations, like prioritizing yourself. I used to not sleep all day long, like I just put it all off because I felt as though I had an obligation to everyone else. To the wife, to the kids, to the friends, like all the things. And what I realized is that I'm such a happier person if I take a little 20-minute nap. I come back, I'm like, let's go. So take that nap. So let's say, like, for instance, let's say you work an hour and you're like, yo, this is not it. Don't burn your 3 hours of time. Redelegate that time and be intentional about it. Like, I'm going to go see a movie and be happy about it. At least you're putting the time into yourself versus making yourself suffer for 3 more hours of not writing your book. Part 5. Okay, this is not my system, but look, you can probably find this in many of Alex Hormozi's videos, but the more, better, new system. I think that these 3 things, this universal truth, I love it so much that I would get it tattooed. Like, I think that it breaks the world down into such simplification, and it's so powerful, okay? I'm going to use the workout example, but you could apply this to anything that you're trying to do. So first off, right, coming down to procrastination, like, we've kind of talked about, like, how not to be a people pleaser. We've talked about how to clear your calendar. We've talked about how to prioritize yourself. We've talked about how to, like, actually build some habits, or at least the beginnings of building habits. Let's say that we've crossed that mountain, right? We're not, we're kind of we're trying to get past the procrastinate. We're almost on our way. I think once you've gotten all that down, I think this is the note to be said that will tell you what you need to do now, okay? Because procrastination a lot of times is also choice paralysis. Like, well, what do I do next? Or where do I focus? Or what? You just kind of like, oh, I don't know. And so you just kind of push it off, which is procrastination. And this solves that every time, okay? So I'm going to say the workout example. Let's say that I want to just get toned, buff, fit, looking sexy, all the, just all the things, which is working out, right? Well, how do I do that? Okay. The first step is more. Okay. Let's say that I'm not going to the gym at all. I've not been to the gym. Okay. Well, the first step is more. How many days per week can I go to the gym? Oh, well, I guess I can go 2 days a week. Okay. So you start going 2 days a week. Okay. And you look at it and you say, how can I get better? Or not how can I what can I do? What's the next step? As you do these 2 days, you're working, you're doing your thing. Well, the question is we still come back to this more question. First one, can you do more? Well, yeah, I think I can do 3 days. Then you come back to this question, can you do more? Oh, I think I can do 5 days. Then you come back to this question, can you do more? You're like, nah, I think 5 days is my max. Because like I really enjoy hanging out with family and I do all these and I have all these other obligations that are very important to me. It's okay. So let's say that your more, the max of more is 5 days. Now, you still can stay here, okay? So let's say 5 days a week. Let's say that you go to the gym for 30 minutes, okay? Can you do more? Yeah, I think I can work out an hour a day. Yeah, okay, cool. Can you do more? And you can see how this can get crazy, but this is actually how you get good at anything or get outsized results, okay? Can you do 2 hours? Maybe. And you'll hit the limit, right? You figure out how much you are, or how much you, it's not how much you want to do. I don't want to say want. It's kind of like how much you can pack in until it gets in the way of other obligations, like really big other obligations. Like you don't want to sacrifice your family time or self, personal self. And you may also be willing to like cut down some of that time so you can dedicate that thing. But let's just say that 5 days a week, 2 hours is your max. Okay, so that's more. Now, you've been doing that for a few weeks, a month now, and you're getting great. Like you've gone to the gym 5 days a week and you're putting in 2 hours a day. You're already doing great. Can you do it better? That's part 2 of that. Better. Okay? So can I go to the gym and like, what are you doing? And so now you start asking yourself, what am I doing at the gym? You're, okay, well, I'm doing full body workouts. You're like, can I get better my form? Okay? Can I get a personal trainer? Can I, do more? Can I better optimize the routines so I have like all this different stuff in here that's you get better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Okay? And I promise you, if you're doing this 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, you've optimized all of this stuff, you're already probably there. Like you look great. And that was with 2 words. More, better. Now, the last one, again, this is Alex Hormozy. Check him out. He just makes things so simple. 3, new. You've maxed out more, you've maxed out better. Now maybe it's time for new, right? Can I add something to this that's new that I haven't been doing before that will give me like outsized returns? And you probably can. A lot of times you don't even need to get to the new, because if you just do more and better and more and better, you just keep on going, it compounds. But new might be something that takes you, like I said, adds that extra 0 on the bank account. New is something that is probably high risk, high reward. It's, that you can get to that point and add new, but you don't, most of us, we start something and then we jump to new. We start something and we jump to new. We start something and we jump to new. And new is the very last thing you do. Like you got to give it a lot of more and you got to give it a lot of better before you have any permission to say new. And I'll make a couple of other micro examples because I'm not going to go as deep as I did just there with anything else. It's the same thing, but like, let's just say business, right? You're like, okay, YouTube channel. I'm going to make this example right here. First step is more, okay? So I think of myself like, how many videos have I really been making on YouTube? Like 1 a week? Not even. Probably 1 a month. Probably not even. Well, can you do more? How many days per week can you do this? How many days can you dedicate it? And you do the whole more thing. And once you do the more thing, you keep on doing things. Oh, great. This is great. And then you say, how can I get better at each video that I put up? Like, how can I deal with them a little better, little better, little better, little better? And honestly, you can go down that for a year before even jumping to new. You know what I mean? New is the very last thing, and new is great. But max out the more and better, because I love new opportunities. I love new things. This creative loves new things. But with as this comes back to procrastination, if you have a path and know what you're doing and you know for sure your North Star, that you're directionally, a lot of times procrastination just goes out the window. because you know what you need to do. You're like, yo, I got this. Game time. Let's get on the field and crush it. Let's go. Procrastination. Have I been doing it wrong this whole time? Yes, I've been a terribly unproductive creative up until this year. Here's why. Like I talked about in my last video, I learned very early in my career the art of leverage. And I consider this my superpower. I was notorious about being able to fix problems in 15 to 30 minutes in my field. Website down? I probably know why and how to fix it in minutes. Need a flyer for our new flash sale that's going out in 50 minutes? Gotcha. I was an expert in my field, and so I would procrastinate all the way to the end of the near deadline, and then I would do it just in time at about a 95% success ratio. This is indeed an amazing life. Though I left a lot on the table, I could have multiplied my leverage. Compounding on itself, procrastination squandered my returns. Can you be a productive procrastinator? Yes. Many fires aren't fires that you should put out. This comes back to the theory of constraints. Focus on the one bottleneck versus every little problem. Are you ruining your relationships by being late all the time? Yes, though the thing that may be ruining it the most is the expectations that you set for the other people around you. The most important person to show up for on time every day is yourself. Start valuing your time. This in turn will help you value other people's time. Time is our most valuable asset. Stop wasting others with your procrastination. How do you stop overpromising, people-pleasing, and delaying joy for yourself? People-pleasing goes deeper than procrastination. It's a deep desire for acceptance. Most times this is a feeling of not feeling like enough for the world. Not attractive enough, not successful enough. Once you love yourself, you'll stop giving away your energy for shallow returns. Invest deeply in the few that matter most. Not everything that someone else labels as procrastination should be your cross to bear. It's okay to say no and share your expectations up front. Your time is reserved for making money, your family, and improving yourself. Keep doing what you do. If you love this video, you can deep dive into the latest one I just did, strengths and weaknesses, popping up on screen right now.